What's going on? Thought I'd do a video on journaling, setting up like a trade journal on Notion. I won't show you how to set it up. That's for you to decipher and find because everyone's strategy is different. But I'll show you a brief explanation on how I do it. I do recommend Notion. There is other facilities out there that work extremely well as well, but Notion resonates with me. I know a lot of people that do use it, and I cannot say anything bad about it. So as you can see, you can set up little tables of contents here. As you can see, I'm heavily influenced on H4 and M15 structure. That's my intraday bias, and this is my narrative. And then pro trend or pullback. So if we're bearish on the H4 here, bullish on the M15, it's meaning that we are in a pullback on the H4. And then POIs are usually H4 and M15 POIs, and then I have refinements within those on the M5, M1, and M3. My setups and confluences. This is extremely important if you're wanting to decipher what works and what doesn't with each trade you take. This being like decisionals or extremes, right? Engulf buy to sells and sell to buys. I've realized work extremely well. As you can see here, most of these trades that I'm scrolling down now have engulfed buy to sells or sell to buys, and I have rarely taken a hit from them because they work extremely effective in conjunction with my other entry criteria. So test that out because it's very, very good. I'm going to showcase here a loss and a win that I took this week. I do tend to journal on the weekends. I'll save it all for the weekend just so I can let my mind refresh and come back to the computer and I guess see where I went wrong or what I need to improve on, or just generally just give myself a pat on the back if it was a good week. It's always good having that positive affirmation, even when you're not trading, right? So a trade that I lost was on the 1st of December. Yeah. So we're on the H4 now. We broke bullish here, right? So now, after mitigating here from a weekly demand, accumulation of orders stacked up, we broke structure to the upside on the 4 hours. So longs were favorable, right? But any shorts would have been considered a pullback. And then as you can see, we broke structure again to the upside. So I'm going to go down to lower time frames and get the exact point where I did take that loss. First, where was it? 1.3294. 3294. Looks about right here. So looks to me like I took it from here. 294, that looks like I would have hit that extreme there. And then once price broke that structure, 294, played that wick, it looks like. So that's when price tagged me in. So it was the 1st of December 20, so 8:52 Sydney time. Euro USD was a sell. That was a loss. 1st of December, click time, 8:52. 2 Sydney time. H4 is bullish. And 15 is bearish. So we're playing a pullback. Pullback on the H4. Then my POI would have been here. So we'll go to the M15. Go to the M10. So that'll be in an M10 POI. These buy to sell wicks. So as you can see here, I haven't actually truly followed my plan because it's not a M15 POI. But that's not to say it wasn't valid. As you can see, that's a clean flip here. We had that reaction from demand here. We bought and then, not we, but you know what I mean. The market makers bought to sell, so that's just all inducement. So that was valid in my opinion. It's my reasoning behind taking that trade. And as price came into that POI here, we did get this M1 shock. M1 shock and flip. So this low took out this high, and then this high took out this low. And then before that, we came down, we mitigated this newly formed minor demand, attempted to trade away, trying to break this high, but in turn, supply took over and then traded through it. So that is the flip. And then I was playing the extreme of the flip, the wick here. My stop loss was 1.3334. Go for a 4 pip stop. It's what tagged me out. My confluences. So this is where we go back. Considering we are, this is bearish on the M15 now. So we're bearish on the M15. This would be classified as an M15 change of character because this low takes out this high, and then upon mitigation to a relative area of supply, supply orders are introduced into the market, and then this high breaks this low, so supply overpowers demand. That was my reasoning. We swept the highs above this Asian range, so that was another added confluence to me. I don't tend to use the Asian range as confluence, but it's always just something to keep wary of. So M15 shock. See if that was an engulfed buy to sell. Probably would be on the 45 minute. No, so no engulfed buy to sell. Can't see any around here. We have one here, but we weren't trading that from that supplier. So this is going back to what I was saying. Engulfed buy to sells or sell to buys are very, very powerful. So we didn't get that, so we cannot put that in. We did get a M15 shock. We got the M1 shock and M1 flip. As you can see here, that one there, and we were actually playing the decisional, not the extreme. So I'll go to the M10. That would be the extreme of the move. This is the decisional. So the decisional does work out from time to time, but the extreme is always a lot safer. And from my other other journal entries, the decisional sometimes does not work in comparison to the extreme. So entry type was a confirmation entry. It was a 4-pip stop, risking 0.8. So that loss was a 0.8% loss. We were inside or near high time frame POI. Go to the 4 hour here. This is when I get some photos. Expect to pull back from relative areas of supply. Right, some FTMO Pepperstone account. So yeah, once we swept these highs, we definitely had that aggressive trade away bearish from there. So I will screenshot this. It's very important to add photos to your journal, because you can always go back and see firsthand what happened, right? So this price did react to an M1 flip here, but following a 15 structure, I was happy to play shorts. Very systematic, my approach. I tend to write the exact same things over and over and over again. The reason being is that once you drill it into your mind and you have a very systematic plan, it does work, which does work effectively. You don't want to deviate from that. Kind of want to trade like a robot, right? If you're constantly jumping from strategy to strategy, or different entry criteria to different entry criteria, and deviating from what works, you're going to incur quite a lot of losses or just some form of inconsistency. So once you are consistent in whatever approach that you choose to trade with, just roll with it, and just it almost just becomes somewhat boring doing this. But it's trading, right? Like, it's exciting when you're in the market. Yes, it's always a good feeling when you do hit TP, but you should also be just as humbled when you take a loss, because it is a statistic, right? It's a game of probabilities. It should not affect you, because if it does affect you, that means you do not trust your plan. So these days, losses do not affect me in any way, shape, or form, because I know there's a win right around the corner, and a loss to me is just me paying my due diligence for knowledge. And just like any other business, we incur losses, right? So just something to take away. But yes, M15 breaker structure, expect to pull back from relative areas of demand. As you can see here, we swept these 4 hour lows. We didn't close below them on the M15 or the H4, so I didn't consider this whole leg a break of structure, signifying bearish order flow and structure is now aligned with higher time frame structure. So after we wicked this area of demand, we got a strong retracement up. So to me, that more so looked like a liquidity sweep, and I'm still trading bullish in conjunction with the H4 and high time frame alignment. But my trade here was a short because I am following M15 structure on the intraday. So until we see an M15 boss aligning with H4, that's when I will be playing longs. So this is when we had the M15. M15 change of character. Use that. Now I'll go to the M1. Play that on a bit, see where it got me out. Right here. So this was the decisional mitigation. Signified the M1 shock. And this was the M1 flip entry. And usually with my losses, I do go over and screenshot where I could have gone, where I went wrong, right, which is here. But then I go over where I could have gone right. But I'll show you now. In the next entry, I took this night. So it's just going to be a whole new journal entry instead. So that was my loss. A new one. USD. It's a sell. It's a win. Just see where it was. 1.13341. Here. It was at 1st of December 22, so it's that 10/18. 1st December. Bullish on the H4, bearish on the M15, playing the pullback. This one was a tap that M15 POI here. It's last buy to sell. M15. Let me just put that there. That was an M1 POI. That was the entry model. M15. And then so that was our M15 here. I did refine it to this last buy to sell, which was a flip right here. And then my other POI was this M1 flip buy to sell. M1. So we had the M15 shock initially. Can't see anything here still to indicate an engulfing candle. Classify that as an engulfed buy to sell. So upon reaction to our POI here, we did get an engulfed buy to sell. So it's always a good sign. Engulfed buy to sell, and then there was an M1 flip, M1 chock, and that I believe that M1 flip was an engulfed candle as well. Yeah, right here. So the engulfed candles always win. Not actually, not theoretically, but they take the win for me. Confirmation entry. I believe I had I think it was a 4 pip stop. It was a 4 pip stop. POI. That's where we had the chock. So change of hands entered the market. So supply overpowered demand of that chock and flip. Upon mitigation to this buy to sell refinement within the M15 buy to sell wicks, we had this M15 change of character. So this is when the previous one I traded the decisional here. Sometimes price tends to use the decisional as in structural liquidity or inducement. So that's exactly what it did as we incurred that loss previously, but I didn't fret from that because I was happy with my narrative. I was willing to risk capital again if I saw a good reaction from this area here or the extreme itself. So that was it. And then my target. I believe my target is 4.9. It was just under a 5 after a 4.3. Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, so it was just under a 5R trade. For 8% risk. It's meant to be minus. So let me just do my calculations here. So 1,190 divided by 0.8. So it's a 5.2% return. Yep. I don't really need to do I can go to the M15, take a screenshot, but I don't need to take a screenshot from the H4 because the previous trading log did indicate where we were. So this is just echoing the previous loss. And then I go down to the M1. That's it. And that is as easy as it gets. It is grueling at times, but it's very, very important you do that. Is see, with my pips, like my large pips, like stop sizes, or some would say it's large, some would say it's very small. But usually, as you can see here towards the top, I'm just hitting like 2. This one was a 5, 2 pip stop, 2 pip stop, 2.5, 3, 2. You don't really want to gravitate any more than that. But I noticed with these ones, majority of these losses did end up going into my favour. So if I did widen my pip, my stop loss, I would have been in the trade and I would have won a lot of these trades. So that's when I just went back to the drawing board and went, fuck the stop loss size. As long as it's under 10 pips or 7 pips, I'm happy with that. And as you can see here, 12% here with a 2.5. Considering I'm risking 0.8, it's not too bad. But yeah, all within. So I started this specific journal on the 5th of October. Now it's the 1st of December. And even with stop losses like these, still 56% return. So not bad. But yeah, that's it for this journal video. So I strongly advise or suggest that you do journal your entries and your trades, because that's the only way you're going to really learn from your losses, I reckon, in my opinion, because you can see what works and what doesn't. And you can see the tendencies behind them all. And it's going back to what I was saying about the engulf buy to sells and sell to buys. Yeah, now that I see them and now that they work, I'll probably only trade these take setups with engulfed candles, because more times than not, whenever there is one that comes along, it's usually a win. So that's one of those things about journaling. So hope you enjoy the video. Hope it wasn't too boring, but I'll do another one soon, and good luck.